Right, we are live.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like we have a few attendees here. Hello and welcome to us sharing our thoughts, or really Steve sharing what we've learned in the last 90 days. I believe it's been with COVID, and what we've learned about taking your events online, and we have learned a lot. So excited to share this with you. For those of you who are here, please tell us who you are and where you're from, what organization you work with in the chat. We just love to see who's all here joining us.
Well, while they're doing that, I'll go ahead and jump in because I've had that conversation with a lot of people about the webinar, and I promised something short and sweet. And so, as you're doing that, well, maybe we'll get some, individuals, maybe one more minute, maybe they're struggling to get in the webinar. But I do want to welcome everybody who we have not met. My name is Steve Roseman, founder of Voodoo Charity Offering. Man, well, so I started my own nonprofit when I was 28, so a year later, 29. I think it was like 2011 when I launched Voodoo. As many of you know, if you know my personal story, I was part of another company, became a partner in that. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for, no other reasons that we had different viewpoints on how I wanted to service. Really I wanted to service all nonprofits, not just the top tier, which is just more rewarding for myself. So, over that time, very blessed with Voodoo for coast to coast now. Then, 2 years ago, introduced Donate. So in a short, stint, we went publicly live with Donate, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a donor engagement platform. Hey Amber, nice to meet you. Never mind. Hi, Amber. Great to see you on here. But even with Donate over the last handful of months, now I looked up this morning, we're in, what was it? I got it written down here. 9 states. I don't know if you even knew that, Courtney, but we're now active in 9 states in just a really short amount of time. So it's been a lot of fun. I know a lot of organizations are utilizing Voodoo and Donate, which is really exciting for me. One of my personal goals is to help nonprofits fulfill their mission. My selfishness behind that is my own personal goal of helping just millions of people around the world. So I appreciate the opportunity to work with everybody. I do want to jump into some basics here. It might not sound, sexy, some of this information, but the one thing that I've shared in emails and conversations with many of you, the reason why I waited so long to host this webinar specifically about, virtual events is I'm more of a practitioner. If you don't really know what that means, I want to make sure that I do something before I talk about it, or do something before I ask others to do it, as much as humanly possible. I know a lot of webinars came out right when COVID hit and the whole pandemic, which is kind of like that, because how do you possibly know what to do 3 days after that hit and we all got shut down? But it is what it is. Over the last 90 days, we've now hosted almost 30, if not now, 30 virtual events. So all I want to do is take the next 10, 15 minutes and go through some basics of commonalities that we've seen. So we've done events anywhere from Texas to New York, and just want to map out what we've seen, because we've now started to see commonalities between what people are doing that are working and what they're doing that are not. So, how I look at this and when I'm reviewing is really what's working. So actually, I want to touch base on that. I'll just jump right into that. First, if we look at the landing a virtual event, if you've not even got to that stage, the key is to think about your donors. So first thing we're going to talk about, planning and the strategy behind it, the things to focus on. Donors. Keep in mind and identify who your donors really are. It's super important in a virtual event. What do I mean by that? where they are today, not only from a economic standpoint. One of the best pieces of advice I've got recently from a marketing standpoint, so this flows right into promoting your event and your planning, is we need to be empathetic with the people we're talking to. Let's not act like something isn't happening. Let's identify it. Yes, we might be in a struggling situation from a business standpoint, but they're also going through challenges. And it could be, maybe it's not economically. Maybe they're in a situation that they're working full time. They're now both parent and teacher. And so just the stress alone. So being empathetic to life situation right now and talking about it, and recognizing it. So it's really important. You've got to come up with a strategy that makes sense when you're promoting your event. The other aspect is, what is in this situation, their home life look like? Essentially, are they retired? Do they have kids? Young families, things of that nature. Because that is really, really important when you're trying to identify what is the attention span that we're going to have for our virtual event. And there's two aspects to the virtual event, right? So there's the bidding side of things. If we talk about the silent auction, for example, number one thing I would recommend, 7 days. Gives people time to look at the items. There's a lot of distractions going on, things of that nature, so it gives them time. You can also utilize that week to plug messages along the way. These are great for pre-recorded messages that could be about your nonprofit organization. The one thing I've been talking about for years is, and this is relevant to virtual or live, there is no need to stand in front of or present who your nonprofit is for 15, 20 minutes. They're already there, whether it's in person or virtual. This is not the time to talk about who you are as an organization. Maybe a 2-minute snippet or something of that nature. Promote a specific mission, something of that nature. It should be about a mission at hand or entertainment. Utilize other pre-planned videos prior to. Because if we're looking at an attention span, it's short, right? Let's use my life example. A 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, for many people know that, because I use this example a lot because I think it's relevant, especially to our world today. Is a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old are not going to allow me and my wife to sit in front of a computer or on our phone, even in front of the TV, for an hour, hour and a half. It's just not going to happen. So we have to think about that. So what can we do to make the biggest impact from an event standpoint in a small time frame? Let's go the opposite of that. If somebody's retired, okay, that's a whole different story. So if baby boomers and above are your donor base, then you're probably okay. The thing you got to think about there is, how are you educating them from a technology standpoint in terms of how to participate? So you got to think about that, ease of use. The other aspect that's really trending right now when it comes to planning is what are being called viewing parties. So maybe a strategy of individuals getting together at their homes, watching this. If you're going to do that, you have to educate on how somebody can watch this on TV, or you got to realize they're going to be on their phone. If they're on their phone and there's people over, they're going to see you few and far between. So make sure it's entertaining, impactful, and they get the message and they're participating. That's where your auction, live auction, funding is going to come into play. Or educating them on how to properly cast on their TV or use their smart TV. And there could be trainings and stuff like that. But the hard part is TVs are all different, and that's kind of a challenge right there. But most people don't know. So the second piece, so main takeaway from that is focus on your donors and their environment. Because you cannot control their current environment. All you can do is bring them into yours. We've looked at a few things when it comes to the virtual events and technology. As many of you know, we actually have our own live streaming now, which it makes it a lot easier for the donors because, think of it this way. So if this is the phone, this top half becomes the live streaming, this bottom half is the bidding. The great thing about that is just keeping people in one place makes it easier for them, and that's where all your money's going to be generated. Other tools that people are using for various reasons. I'll just get on the list here real quick. So Zoom. You have the ability to do breakout rooms and stuff like that. Not really great for events, but they're being utilized for that. That's probably going to be the most complicated. Mainly because if you have baby boomers and above, they have not lived the world of virtual meetings. So it's all new to them. And we all know, if we've ever used them, like 75% of the time, works smooth. The other 25, you have to log out, log back in, and then you're good to go. Do you want your donors to go through that? And I'm not saying a lot of people are using Zoom, so I'm not saying that it's not an option. People are utilizing it successfully because you do get to see a lot of people, and it creates a good ambiance there. I don't know if that's the right term, but you get my point. YouTube streaming, or I think it's called Ustream. Haven't played with it much, haven't seen much, but my guess is that's probably the best for a TV scenario, because if you have a smart TV, the app is already on your TV, it's easy. A lot of people are using Facebook Live, mainly because people are already comfortable with Facebook. They already have an account, you just direct them to your page, and it's good. And you can use the social feeds and things like that to make things work. And then once again, we have our own streaming now. You still, depending on the presentation, if you want to do this style presentation, a little bit fancier, backdrop, second repeat, live auction, stuff like that, you can actually produce it yourself with not a lot of technical skills. If you do want different presentations, different locations, things of that nature, you're still going to need an AV company because they need to use a different piece of software that taps into ours that makes everything work. Which, if you talk to an AV company, is super normal. That's production. So, once again, not to drop our company, we are working on maybe doing that in-house. So, I'll keep everybody up to date there. Second key component. So, hopefully everybody kind of understands catering to your donors and their planning here. Second key component is communication. This is clarity, consistency, and often is going to be your best bet. We need to remove our head trash of, say, 3 messages in a day from you to your donors is not good. That's not true. Right now, we are more distracted by different things, whether it's our kids, whether, whatever's going on right now, than ever before. So it's okay to keep them up to date. As long as you're creative and not repetitive, definitely don't do look at our option, look at our option, look at our option. Hey guys, here's our option. Only 2 days left in our option. Talk about, hey, we just launched our option. It's great. We're good to go. We're so excited. Have fun. What about stuff? The second day, holy cow, item 100 already has 10 bids on it. You might want to check it out. Then the third day, drop a message about your cause. Talking about the importance of your mission and fulfilling that and helping people in the community. Day 4, another auction thing, or just reference a live auction if you're doing that, or a guest speaker that you might have, or entertainment. Break it up and make sure it's entertaining. It's that empathetic and entertaining communication. And I'm not saying you need to be empathetic about the situation that's going on right now, every single message. I think if you make it clear at the beginning that we know, the world is going crazy right now, blah, blah, blah. We are staying on task ourselves. And so we want to, so this is something nobody is using that I think is unfortunate. So there's some nonprofits, and maybe you're on the call today, I don't know, you're trying to figure out, do we host a live event because our event is scheduled for October, or do we do it virtual? My advice would be, first, talk to your donors. The second, is respect your universe. What I mean by that is you think it's okay to stick 500 people in a room together in a small crowd. And maybe you do, and okay. But if they're an older population, a baby boomer population, it's my opinion that that's not okay. And it's on health stuff that I read about. And so letting them know, I would use this, letting them know, hey, we want to respect you and your health, and we want to make sure that you stay healthy. So we would like to do a virtual event. We're so excited to continue to have your support. And you rock them with that message, that you're doing this for them. And the great thing about a virtual event that people are not talking about too, and we're getting a lot of great results with this. And once again, everything I'm talking about right now is proven through the events that we've done in the last 90 days. So this is not theory. So remember that there's a lot of costs that you no longer have by doing a virtual event. I just caught wind of an event that normally the last couple of years has been made, hit about 80,000. It got stagnant. Did a virtual event, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and they did 180,000. So for people to say that people are not raising money during the pandemic COVID era here, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. We have a lot of organizations that are doing the math and looking at the expenses from this year and last year, and they're actually raising almost the same amount of money, if not the same, because they don't have the expenses of a live event. Anybody who has ever put designed auction items and put them out on tables, you don't have the stress of doing all that with the board. So there are some advantages to the virtual side of things. Keep in mind, this has only been a 90-day deal or 120-day deal. So if you're struggling on, hey, with your confidence, know that everybody is doing this for the first time. So don't feel like you don't know something that a bunch of other people do. The only reason why somebody might know a version is because they've already done it in the last 90, 120 days. So keep that in mind. So from a confidence standpoint, just feel free to give me a call. We're going to do another session with live streaming next week. That we'll actually be walking you through how our live streaming works and kind of do a little role play thing. But that's really communication standpoint, guys. The last piece of it is entertainment. This is one thing that a lot of people haven't really cracked yet, but they're starting to. Is if you're going to have a virtual event, try to make there's going to be an entertainment part. Whether that's just as simple as a live auction and a fun meeting. Because the great thing about that is you don't need to entertain long, but the short stints. We had a really good experience with Louisville State Police and but what we did with their live auction is we actually allowed people to bid throughout the week on all live auction items. So when the auctioneer got on camera, he concluded all the auction item bids. Excuse me. So that way it shortened the duration. It was still upbeat and fun and engaging, and they raised a good amount of money. So, that's just one little tip that you can do with the live auction. But I was just on the phone with Fort Wayne Civic Theater, and they're about to do a Saturday night live skit. Now, granted, they are a theater, so they have an advantage. But think of different entertainment things that you can do. One organization out of California or New York, they have the capability, but they interviewed Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band, talking about the arts and different things of that nature. I've seen 1 and 2 person bands playing a couple songs just for, background engagement type music. If you're going to use Zoom or something that a lot of people can be on, even Google Meetup right now has added a bunch of stuff, and that's another tool too. Doing a live cheers, even if people can't see you, it's just that engagement there. Being able to show testimonials, interview those types of people, that's the entertainment entertainment piece I'm talking about. So just a quick review. Keep your donors in mind and in their environment, because right now you can't control that. You're used to being able to control that. So keep that in mind. Communication, keep it engaging, keep it often, and then the entertainment factor of a virtual event. So I did write down some notes of just random key points. Once again, I mentioned those three things because those are the three things that people are consistently winning or losing at. Use our system for the text messages to get that engagement. I think it's like a 93 to 97% open rate of text messages. So why would you not use our system to be able to get in front of somebody? So keep that in mind. Option, 7 days. I wouldn't go any more than 7 days. Once again, you already have enough going on. It's really hard to keep somebody's attention for 7 days. So I wouldn't go any longer than 7 days. Yeah, another reason why I personally like our screening is not safe or anything like that. From just a marketing standpoint, you have to remember that these events are about raising money. So if you're looking at this phone, I'm going to do this again. If this is the phone. Up here is the live streaming. Down here is your bidding, donate button, stuff like that. Somebody can watch and still participate by giving you money for bids, purchases, donations, all in one place. If we're in Zoom or somewhere else, they got to leave that area, come back to their phone. Now, there is a situation if they're watching on a computer and they have their phone, okay, that's a different scenario. But if I'm walking around, it's a Friday, Saturday night, and I'm walking around on my phone because I do have people over, that means I have to flip-flop between a couple things. Speaking of the Friday, Saturday night, I joke around about this sometimes, but I'm going to say it without somebody kind of really saying, oh, that's not good. So it's like one of the only times I talk about drinking, right? Is a lot of times we all know that people, after they might have a drink or two, maybe a few more, tend to bid more or donate more. So if you normally have an event that closes your auction and activities at like 9 or 10 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday, why wouldn't you do the same in a virtual event? So you don't have to have the virtual event at that time, but just close your auctions around that time. The other thing to keep in mind too when looking at your donors is, I know this is going to sound silly, but think of their bedtimes or think of their kids' bedtimes. Those are the things that are like bath time. Somebody asked me to be on a board meeting call. It was like 8:15 or 8:30. I said, dude, I'm feeding my kids and putting them to bed at that time. I can do a little bit before, but probably after. So keep those things in mind. Something that's super important. So there's a lot of really good auctioneers for that's not true. There's a few auctioneers that we have partnered with that are really good. Okay? Those same people I've seen do virtual events and not so good. So make sure whoever you have in front of that camera can muster up their own energy and they don't need the crowd to do it for them. I've seen some really good people that were not auctioneers that was just their talent. Like, if you have access to an actor friend, buddy, whatever, might be a good person to talk to. The Kentucky State Police, their auctioneer did really great, but he's also had camera experience. So, just FYI, make sure whoever you have in front of those cameras can muster up that type of situation. And then, let's see here. I already talked about that. This videos throughout the week, if you can. Yeah, that's really the main points here. The key to the last one I already talked about, but that looks like everyone's fan. Just remember that don't get stressed out about a virtual event, which is new for everybody. The other aspect is know that yes, we might not think we have the budget to do a lot of these things, or our budgets now change because donations might not have come in the way they used to, or we've had some postponement. If we do this right, to generally remove a lot of costs. The one thing that I always knew when I was doing my gala that I could not, because one of my strategies was every year that I do an event, I was always focused on how can I get better, and if I get better, I can lower my overhead and lower my stress level. Because we all know there's only certain things you can lower from a stress level standpoint, but one thing I knew I can never get away from in a gala scenario, that if I went from 300 guests to 400 guests, that just means I had to buy 100 more gifts. You cannot get away from that. Now you have the opportunity to get away from that. And so take advantage of this opportunity to maybe test out a new style of fundraising, because what we're seeing, virtual events are not going away. I actually believe some of the success some of these organizations have been getting, they're not going to do their traditional form of event again. They're going to do virtual because less overhead, same amount of money, and it just makes sense. People can now support multiple organizations in the same meeting. If one organization I care about, does a 7 o'clock event and a 10 o'clock event, I actually can be at home and support both of them and watch both presentations. We've all been in that scenario where it's extremely hard to get all of our top donors in the same room at the same time. Well, this changes the game, and we might actually be able to do that. So, I appreciate your time. Hopefully this helped out. Like I said, I actually went over by 7 minutes here, so I apologize. If you have any, we can do this real quick if you're okay with that. Feel free to stay on if you want. If anybody has any questions, I know Courtney can open it up. Does anybody have any questions? You can throw it in the chat or ping Courtney somehow. I don't know how that works, but feel free. I'm more than happy to spend as much time as needed. Yeah, almost every day, I'm on calls talking about this subject, and I'm more than happy to take that time. So, Courtney, can you jump on, or how do we do this?
Yes, hi. I just allowed mic and camera, so if you want to turn on your camera or just talk, I think you have to say allow. Or, like Steve said, you can type your questions in chat. Yeah, Jim Hill, Allison just said this is the first time she's experienced Vimeo. We've enjoyed it so far. We've only been using it for a couple months, but it's really easy to use for these style of webinars. And yeah, good.
Yeah, and just know it's this style of webinar scenario. So I wouldn't recommend this tool for just one-on-one meetings and things like that. So keep that.
Oh no.
But yeah, we've had a good experience with it so far. Huh. I know that has nothing to do with live options, but yeah. Glad we can introduce you to the tool. There's no way I did that good of a presentation. All I'm doing is sharing what we've learned over the last. Feel free to pick my brain. If not, like you said, more than happy. Stay tuned though. Like you said, Courtney will shoot out some invites, and we're probably going to do this for the next couple of weeks. Next time we'll actually map out and show you exactly how our live streaming works with our tool specifically, and then we're going to dive into some more information. Like I said, I know a lot of you on the phone here are probably already in the Donate system, but I do want to talk about that because of the results people are getting. If you're not familiar, it's a donor engagement platform. And right now, if you are not focused on building relationships with your current supporters, you need to focus on that. You need to shift whatever your thought is of finding random new donors out there. That's not what this environment is. The environment right now is building relationships, and there's a lot of success on it. So
there's a question. So for the event that raised 180K, can you give more details on the makeup of that event?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question, because I want to be very clear, and this is the scenario that we're seeing, and we're an example of that. Complicated doesn't win. Yeah, I've been a part of events that were They had a lot of moving parts and they did well. But we're seeing simple events where, for example, what I mean by that. 7 days, let's call it Monday, they launch the auction. They'll trickle in messages along the way, kind of the example I gave before. They'll hype people up, say Friday, with messaging and videos or something like that. And then Saturday they'll put on their event. What that event might look like from a simplicity standpoint is they'll go live with a message from the executive director, something of that nature. They might show a recorded video for the mission that they're trying to serve, like what all that money's going to. And then maybe a small little entertainment. I gave the example of two different musicians, stuff like that. The example of two musicians was actually an entity that supports the arts, so it kind of made sense on that. And then they did a fund need and a live auction, and then thanked everybody at the end. So all they did was a condensed version of what they might have done in a live or an in-person event. An elaborate version. Like you said, elaborate doesn't always win. An elaborate version is same hype up, but then they use Zoom, and based off the data points they had about them prior to Zoom, they kicked them into one of these groups for like a social hour where they all kind of, I don't know, maybe another group they talked, the group I was in, we talked, and we just kind of stared at each other and did whatever they were doing at their house. So you kind of saw what people were doing. Literally, they were just living life inside Zoom while waiting for a presentation. So then it kicked into the host, who she was at her house, then kicked into some videos that was about the mission. It was a school rebuilding the whole wing or something like that, cafeteria, stuff like that. And then they tapped into Steve Miller, did an interview. The host interviewed Steve Miller. They talked about the arts and their programs and the need for their school. Then the host jumped back in, gave a cheers. They didn't even, they did a casual fund the need. So what they did is actually, I forget at what point, so I apologize. They referenced the fund the need, go to your phone, we really appreciate your support. And they kept doing a call to action throughout the event. And then they culminated it at the end and they told people where they were at and that they were going to leave it open until midnight that night. That elaborate one, it's still through a little bit, I think through our system, I want to say roughly 140, but I think after I talked to them, the sponsorships and stuff like that, it was like 250. Know that people are out there still getting sponsors, still selling tickets, and they're referencing the ticket as a market donation. The one thing that we're going to do a bit about sponsorships as well. Some of you guys might have seen Ryan. Ryan was talking on here a couple weeks ago with us about corporate sponsors and stuff like that. I'm a big believer of partnerships, not sponsorships. The quick difference, and then we're going to, like I said, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about this. Right now, and some of you that I'm not a big fan of sponsors all the time. Most of the time I'm not. I'm a big fan of partners. Meaning, if you have an event, you're out there running around, be a table sponsor, be a host sponsor, stuff like that. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had on the phone for the last couple of months that they can't get sponsors because they're not having an event. So this situation has proved my point. Well, if they were partners and not sponsors, they still have to check because it's not about one event. It's about partnering with the entity because of their mission. And so they can still make up the value down the road through social media, stuff like that. So we'll dive into that later.
Yeah, I want to hit another question too. Sorry. I wanted to hit that as well. So an issue that they have had are the prizes that involve travel. Is there any advice that you can give as far as items like concert tickets or travel items? Or should they stay away from the ticket?
So that's really, really hard. But you shouldn't stay away from it because people still want it. It depends on the situation. So it's consignment, odds are your consignment company, you talked to them beforehand, how long their guests have to redeem it. I've been talking to a few consignment companies that they're getting 2-year redemptions. So I think you're okay with that. When it comes to, well, here's an example. An entity out of Chicago, they had 2 different Cubs experiences. One came from a company, one was a season ticket holder. The season ticket holder, they did not use that donation because the season ticket holder could not guarantee that they were going to keep the season tickets. They kept that corporate one. The challenge with sports right now, if you're about to do that, like baseball is sketchy. I've heard that they might not even have a season. Football is hard. So I guess I would only do it if you can guarantee that. We'll use the Colts for example, because we're here in Indy. If I sold a Colts package, I would need to know that if the season did not take place in a way that somebody can redeem that package this year, that they can redeem it the following year. I would be okay with that. I would purchase that, knowing that maybe down the road I can use it. I'm not a fair weather fan, so it doesn't matter if they're winning or losing. Restaurants, stuff like that, you gotta make sure they're gonna be in business. So I would focus on that. Concert tickets and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, as long as they can redeem them at a later date, it's probably the only way I would play that game. Me personally. So.
So one other question is, how long in duration should the program be? 1 hour, 3 hours? If I could get my input, not 3 hours.
100% not 3 hours. I can't even watch a good movie for 3 hours. My personal opinion, hour max. Unless you have killer entertainment. Like if it's something that, like I want to watch because it's unique. I think the fun thing that's going to happen with virtual events, people are going to come out with some pretty cool entertainment stuff with that. Like I'm just waiting for the charities to create a real version of America's Got. Well, I guess America's Got Talent is a real version, but I think you get my point. Things like that are going to be local to their community. People are going to come up with that. Now that's a little different, but I would still say 1 hour. I've been a part of a number of them that have been an hour and a half, and that was stretching the limits, in my opinion. So, but I have a short attention span, but I also think that the world has a short attention span. So.
Yeah, these are great questions. Those think people are starting to lean out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate your time. Hopefully that was helpful. And like I said, be on the lookout for another webinar. Our next one's actually going to go over the streaming, and we'll just continue to shoot out information as we actively see results of what's going on out there. So thank you again, guys.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.